So I've been going back and forth with a property owner of a property that my property management company manages. We've been reaching out to them over the course of probably the last 2.5 weeks or so about getting access to the property. So it's a new property that we just recently onboarded. We just began managing the property for them. We've been having trouble getting the keys from them, so getting access. So the property's been sitting there vacant. We really can't do anything. It's now towards the end of July. Every day we get closer to Thanksgiving. I mean, every day we get further away from April, which is the ideal time of the year to find a tenant. We basically are getting in a less and less desirable time to find a tenant. So we've been kind of pushing the owners to, reaching out to them frequently, just saying, hey, can we get an update of when you're going to mail the keys? Up until this morning, they were to mail the keys. Of course, no keys came in. I reached out to them with a text saying, hey, do you have an update of when you might mail us the keys? We're on hold until we actually get access, and we have to show the property to potential tenants to find someone who would be interested in renting the unit. We have to have keys. We have to get in. Now, to you, that sounds ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, and it seems like it's just an odd thing with these owners. But owning a property management company, I can tell you it's not unique. Thus, the whole point of me recording this video. It's very common. So I think there's some kind of a behavioral, thing we experience with owners that's very common, to where I don't know if they see the keys as a possession, and they don't like giving up. They don't like giving up possessions, because I think that's actually it. But we get a lot of resistance. So we basically, you agree to become a client with us. We work to actually get you onboarded. We get your onboarding form from you, all the information that you want us to have about your property, if you want to accept pets, etc. And then where we end up with some owners get stuck is they just refuse to give us access. They refuse to hand over the keys. And when they do hand over the keys, it's always like the worst possible copy that they have. Same dynamic we actually see with tenants that move out of the property. It's very common for tenants to not leave us certainly not to leave us all the keys. We actually track how many keys we give a tenant. And we warn them that we have to penalize them if they don't leave us every copy we gave them. And it's very common for them not to give us back. Very few tenants give us back every key we ever gave them to the property. It's fine. We rekey the property anyways by state law. So it's really not a big deal. But it is a dynamic that you see commonly with human beings, tenants, owners, etc., that we come across, to where even tenants, like I said, they won't give us back the keys. The one problem we have with tenants that's very commonplace is here in Sunday, Philadelphia, it's very common to have a locking mailbox, and the tenants won't give us the keys to the mailbox. Now, they're no longer the legal users of the property. If they enter the property, if they access the mailbox, they're now technically speaking trespassing. I don't believe they're keeping these keys so that they can keep coming back to the property. I think, again, it's just some people just have a weird mindset thinking this is a possession, this is an item, this is a tangible thing, and I don't like handing tangible things to other people. And if you were a landlord, property owner, and you're working with a property management company, or you're working with maybe a contractor, someone who does work in a property, and you find that you actually have difficulty handing over access to a property, get yourself in check. This owner is just absolutely refusing to mail us the keys. Again, I reached out to them this morning. The response was, well, they didn't reach out to us, we reached out to them. Last they had left it with us was, we're going to mail you the keys. When I reached out to them this morning, well, we talked between ourselves, and we're not comfortable with giving you a key. And it's like, well, we're managing the property. It's vacant. You want a tenant. How do you possibly think we're going to make any of that happen? Like, we're going to be able to find a tenant that's willing to, rent your property sight unseen. And then what's going to happen if we happen to be somehow magically able to rent your property to a tenant sight unseen without them getting in? What's going to happen then? Are you going to then give us a key so the tenants have a key? What's going to change? They're not comfortable mailing the key to us. They're not comfortable, etc. Not a reasonable fear. I mean, you don't include your address, you don't include your name, you include nothing that identifies you. And since 2008, since I've owned this real estate brokerage, Grow Property Management, not once have I had a key stolen. And if a key does eventually show up missing, and it doesn't identify the owner or the property, it doesn't. The owner's at no risk. So if you find yourself as a landlord hesitant to give up the keys, figure it out. You can't function like that. I mean, these people have caused themselves real damage. I mean, the median listing price of the properties that we manage is costing that owner $78 per day being vacant. And these people have probably cost themselves about 14 days. So times 14 by $78. And that's what we call a vacancy penalty fee. My property management company, we call it a vacancy penalty fee. So every day we have a property vacant for an owner, is costing that owner the median listing price. I mean, obviously, if they list it higher, it's costing them more, $78 a day, and that's a very real number. So these folks, with having whatever mental restriction they have, whatever out of their comfort zone, this is would take them. That's not allowing them to give us a key. Is getting expensive. And this is an investment. You have to make investment decisions. And let's just say somebody actually does get a key. Somehow someone magically intercepts it and gets the key, and somehow can magically figure out that it's your property, and magically can figure out where this property is. And they use this key to go in, and they cause considerable damage. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an insurance professional. I can't really counsel you on that. But my understanding is and obviously it wouldn't be ideal, but it's covered under insurance. So again, not a realistic fear. But as I keep saying, if you as a landlord happen to be one of the few people that actually does get upset over handing over things like garage door openers, mailbox keys to the property, you need to get over that. You cannot function your rental property as a viable investment unless you get over certain mental blocks that you might have. And again, it's common enough for me to bring it up here. It's just not isolated to these individuals. It's just something we see time and time again, to where we're moving along, everything's great, and then all of a sudden my property management company comes to a screeching halt because we don't have access. Now we're waiting on the owner to get us the access. And it's common that we see, not to this extent, to where they're all out refusing to give us the key. I think they're just going to have to terminate management with us. I don't really see a resolve. I mean, if you're not going to give us a key, then this is over, right? But we often see there's some resistance to getting us a key, some delay, some hesitance. That's pretty common. And if that's you, no, get over it. All right? Just a humble Philadelphia property management company owner, and I'm doing my best to answer your rental property investing questions. As always, happy rental property investing.